Your first book, this book here, is The Rippers.
Correct.
This is The Rippers.
The
This is your
Rippers,
first
yes.
baby.
My first baby.
Okay, so tell us what is The Rippers about?
Well, The Rippers is about a bounty hunter who works in outer space, an intergalactic bounty hunter, and she's accused of a crime she doesn't remember committing.
Okay.
So that's the long and short of it, of the first story arc. I created The Rippers back in 1997 when I was in high school. Feels like a long time ago, but it really wasn't. Oh my God. But yeah, I created it because I saw a lot of books in comics that I really wasn't feeling because the female characters, they weren't anyone that I could admire. Maybe I love Storm, and I love Jean Grey, maybe a couple others from the X-Men, but there weren't any that really spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
So gradually, I started piecing together the story. I started drawing the characters. I started designing their outfits, everything. And then I put it to the back burner until, like I said before, when I decided to jump into this industry.
What gave you the idea for The Rippers, besides gave you the idea to create these characters for this book?
Well, I love
outside
space.
of the fact that, the other characters they had weren't cutting it.
Well, I loved outer space. I love outer space, that's number one. And number two, all the characters, even the male ones, they're all reflections of me in some way, shape or form. So I wanted something that reflected myself and my personality and the different phases of myself.
Okay. Well, that's one of the things about writing. You can do whatever you want with it,
Yeah.
And this is issue 2.
That's issue 2.
Of The
That's
Rippers.
issue 2. And issue 2 just goes into how our main character, Rhiannon, got to where she is, which is prison. She doesn't remember. She's not quite sure of what's going on. And she's trying to remember, well, how did I get here in the first place? What transpired? And a lot of the things that transpired are her fault.
Oh, okay.
They are her fault. I mean, that's not to say the crime is her fault. It may or may not be, but it really is a reflective period. Like the next few issues are not only about reflection, it's also about, well, where is she going now? And in the second issue also introduces my character, Shanoa Deken from Ice Witch. And she's in there, and you can flip up, you can flip the back of that. But
this is her soon-to-be baby.
yes, the soon-to-be baby that's been breached. She needs to come out. It's been a while, so she needs to come out.
She's overdue.
So yeah, that's Shanoa Deken. She is an assassin who got married, had a baby. Now the company's after her baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Ice Witches.
Yeah, I love her too. I love all of them. I love all my girls. But so yeah, she's in issue 2, and you see her with her pregnant belly, sitting in a prison cell, and she plays a very integral part in The Rippers.
Okay. And your next baby is Eating Vampires.
Eating Vampires.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, Eating Vampires. I came up with Eating Vampires back in 2010 when there was this huge vampires craze, Twilight came out and all whatnot. And I said to myself, there should be something that's greater than a vampire. There should be another alpha predator. It shouldn't just be vampires can eat everybody and get away with it. There really should be something that can put them in check, and that's a vampire eater.
Okay.
Now, Eating Vampires is about this young girl, Evelyn, and she's the last of her people, and she's the only cure for a vampire virus outbreak.
Oh.
And the story actually takes place about 300 years in the future, but we flash back to the past because of the miniseries comics I was telling you about. Flashes back to the past of what happened and why our people aren't here.
Okay. All right. And we'll be back with some more about Eating Vampires and The Rippers and Ice Witch, which is so interesting about her. What gave you the idea about her? Shanoa, what gave you the idea?
Well, to be honest, I was watching nature. I was watching nature, and I saw a female animal protecting her young. And it sort of just hit me really quickly, like, oh, why don't I see any books of women protecting their children? I've seen stories of men protecting children like Lone Wolf and Cub, but I've never seen a woman. So I just started thinking about it more and more and started expanding upon it, and I came up with I Switch.
Very good. Very good. The wonders of writing, the creativity. Now, Mr. Rahul, let's talk about Sectors. Sectors is a very interesting book. It's a book about, well, I'll let you explain. You can give us a little synopsis of Sectors.
Sectors is about a young man who is born with great powers. He's the progeny of a group of soldiers that pretty much died off. And he and a lot of other people are called Next Gen. These are the children of these soldiers that died. And they are used as a police force to maintain like a concentration camp of their previous enemies, the Canosians.
Okay, now the Canosians, we want to fill in a little bit. The Canosians are, there are people who deal mostly with plant life.
Yes.
That's their thing.
That's their thing, right.
That's their thing.
They use plant life like we would use metal,
Right.
or use technology. So they actually grow their weapons. They actually grow their homes very quickly. They have a process of using the plants with rapid growth to pretty much encompass much of the land space. So
Yeah.
they use that for homes, for food, for clothing, for water, for everything.
Mm-hmm. So just using the term plant life, you would get the feeling that these are, let's say, people of peace or harmless, because they're using plant life. Everything they deal with is with the earth, with plants.
Well, that would be the impression you would get.
Impression.
Right,
yes.
but
they
living
were
they were
people who
warlike
gave
as well.
problems to the Northerns,
The
Northerners.
Northern Alliance, right.
The Northern Alliance
Right.
was in war with them, and they were losing the war.
Right.
And they came up with this generation, this super soldier. After a lot of people died through the experiment, they came up with these super soldiers.
Right.
We're filling in just a little bit without giving you everything. And so with these super soldiers, it was no more need because they captured the Canosians and had them under, let's say, lock and key.
Right.
But they died out because of these experiments that were done on
Right.
them. And their offspring is this next generation.
Right.
And there's a certain thing that happens to these children with next generation. I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to read the book. But it's very interesting. And wherein they come into their own and find out that they are part of the seed of these super soldiers that
Right.
died out. So to keep these Canosians under subjection, they have to wear this collar.
Right. To be allowed to work, to actually earn a living within the Northern Alliance and not be confined into their small concentration camp, they're forced to wear a collar. The collar is used to suppress any powers that the Canosians may have, because they also have a version of the Next Gen, which is a very natural way that they developed them, called the Empowered. Mm-hmm. Now, these empowered people, which is very few, they just like the Next Gen, they're afraid of them. They're afraid of what they could do. It's like having a bomb in your backyard. You don't want
the Northerners
Right.
are afraid of the Canosians
of course,
because
right,
of their
they're
potential
dangerous.
power
Right.
of doing. They did theirs natural through the earth.
Right.
The Northerners, when they did their experiments, it was through drugs.
Right, but in either case, the Canosians are still considered very dangerous. I mean, if you can throw a car at somebody, you would be a dangerous person.
Oh well, yeah.
Right, and our government, with any government, would feel the need to control that. You don't have people running around who can throw cars at you. You can't just let the people run free. You got to do something about that, which is exactly what the Northerners do.
And
which is why they're
on
employ the
these
Next
concentration camps.
Right.
Yeah, and these collars release this drugs
Into their
into
bloodstream to suppress their abilities, yeah.
Okay.
But it also damages their ability to think. So it actually functionally makes them mentally handicapped.
Vegetables.
Yeah.
It messes them up.
Right.
Yeah. So the main character in this is Joseph.
Yes.
Joseph 8, I believe, right?
Joseph
they
Marshall.
They call him 8.
Yeah, they call him 8 because that's his level.
Yeah.
So his classmates call him 8, which is used as almost as a derogatory term.
Yeah.
Because 8 is 10 is the most powerful you can be. And 8 is somewhere in between being powerful and being not so powerful. And that's a very rare rating to receive. So as a joke, they call him 8.
Okay. And he has some interesting things happening with him in this. He's the one he experiences coming into his own.
Yes.
Because their bodies begin to grow. We don't want to give you away too much of the story, but I want to feed you enough where you say, you know, you're telling me, what's the rest of it? I want to know.
Well, his mother is actually, and she's a part of an organization that wants to end this occupation, this concentration camp, this imprisonment of these people. And so her son becoming a next gen is really traumatic for her and her family. And so she really tries her best to instill a sense of responsibility into her child. And so now he goes off into this basically a war zone to be aware of, you know, these are people you're imprisoning potentially. So be careful, be thoughtful of what you're doing. And that's what we see repeated in the story quite often. Well, he'll remember what his mother told him, which is what I think many of us actually end up doing at some point, listening to our mothers and saying, "Oh,
yes, you hear her voice in the back of your head.
That's true.
Don't do that."
Right, and this is what he has to deal with. So he has a job to do that's actually in opposition to what his mother's teaching him and what he himself believes. So he has to choose, like, do I do my job, which is, you know, to keep these people oppressed, or do I do the right thing? And the right thing could actually be against the law.